Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm hitting record.
He's
recording. The way, like, that's...
What happened to your whole top fucking goddamn monstrosity? Where's that at?
I don't have it. I haven't had it for a while.
It was here last week.
I had a mic, I think, on top of it.
Where did you fucking find this guy?
I don't know. Are you going to start?
Oh my God. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to The Void, a show about... I'm just... were you ready? I was just fucking with you.
I can tell you're on fire because I have my
my
level set for last week, and we're like...
Oh, wait, way high.
Getting into the oranges and the reds.
Well, you got the door closed, too.
I had some alcohol today.
Yeah.
I hadn't had any for... Like, literally yesterday, I had 2 drinks. I told you that. That's all I'd had in like 7 days. You ready?
Are you really doing an intro?
Yeah, I'm going to do an intro.
Get it.
God damn, what's the matter with you
Start your
guys?
stopwatch first.
You know what?
You just killed his motivation.
You know what fires me up more than anything? When Mitch is fired up. Well, like when Mitch is on fire, then we're fired. God, what's the matter with you?
No, when he's fired up is whenever you turn on the hose and you realize the handle was on the on position and it's and you got to go catch it. That's what it's like whenever Mitch is in that mode.
Oh, man.
You got to go catch it before it sprays you.
Are you going to be okay?
I'm good.
Are you sure?
I'm just waiting for you to start.
Your eyes are like 2 inches open. They're like this. Like a cocaine addict at 3 a.m.
It's because it's 6:45.
You got a lot of shit to do tonight.
And I still got 3 hours worth of shit to do after this podcast.
Right. Okay. All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to The Void, a podcast about small business, life, love, liberty, the pursuit of happiness.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly where it is. Mitch told me I had to do the intro today. We started a new intro policy. No one really knows what it is. There are no guidelines.
It's off-the-cuff intros.
So it's going to be off-the-cuff intros from now on. I am the host of this show, David Hilton, and with me as always, the greatest friend I've ever had, other than my brother, that's been given to me by God.
Austin, he's talking.
Mitch Allen Smedley.
And his right hand.
I've got middle named.
Mitchell Allen Smedley.
Mitchell Allen
Besides
Smedley.
his right hand.
That's his best friend. Yeah. It's true, but it's dirty.
From the most conservative guy in the group.
Yeah.
Dave,
making a masturbation joke.
Can you give us some context?
Do you think Jesus masturbated?
Can you give us some context on just everything that's been happening up until this point? Fill people in.
What are you talking about? Today?
Yeah.
Oh.
The last hour.
Oh, you mean just Mitch's life?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Well, that's
I will.
the topic of the show.
Like, I want to see your perspective.
So I come into the house today, and Grant, Mitch's youngest son, is sitting on the couch. So I go straight to Grant. I say, "Hey, dude,
come into my house."
Yeah, come to your house. What did I say?
You said I come into the house. So
it's your
just
house.
establishing. You come over to record the podcast to my house.
Whatever, Mitch.
Oh, this is gonna be a long
micromanager. I go over to him and I give him congratulations. Obviously, he killed his first deer.
Super
proud.
Yep.
I was proud of him.
Yep.
We talked about it for 10 minutes. He acted like he didn't know what I was talking about, which obviously I knew he was just full of shit.
You have to do that to be cool.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, man?
And I can hear Mitch and Danielle in the background arguing about fucking God knows what at the time. So I drag it out a little further. So I'm talking to Grant, I go over. We look at Mitch's new gun. He got a little 308, semi-automatic, AR-10.
AR-10.
A little gun that's 20 pounds.
That is 5 ARs safer than an AR-15. For all of you people out there that think AR-15s are dangerous,
yes,
I am 5 ARs safer.
Yes, because he moves 5 times slower because the ammo is so fucking big.
It's a big bullet.
That's exactly why. Those are really bolt-action rifles. That's bolt-action rifle ammo.
Did I tell you what Grant said when he shot that deer?
No. What'd he say?
Like, woods are quiet, right?
Yeah.
So you shoot the deer, and he goes, "Yeah, I fire drilled his ass." And I'm like, "Fire drilled?
What's he
what
talking
do you mean?"
about?
He goes, "That deer stopped, dropped, and rolled." And I'm like, "Oh my God."
You've been working on that for a week.
Oh yeah, he's been waiting.
Yeah.
He's been waiting. And then, so he texts all of his buddies the picture of the deer.
Yeah.
And one of his buddies is like, "Oh, everyone's going to say you like took that deer away from his family." And and I'm like, yeah, they don't really have families. Like, that deer doesn't even know who his dad is. And Grant looks at me and he goes, "Oh yeah, did his dad go out to get the milk?" And I'm like, gosh dang, with the one-liners, kid.
Dude, I was gonna say something extremely racist, but I didn't. Like, yes, did his dad go out to? I gotta get cigarettes, honey. I'll be back in an hour.
Yeah, gone.
Awful. But anyway, so yeah, we're talking. I hear you two bickering, moaning, carrying on. I look at Austin. Austin gives me the eye roll. don't go over there. And then I hear Danielle, we'll have to talk about this later when no one's here.
Yeah.
So to be fair, I instantly know, oh shit, Mitch ain't getting laid for at least 20 minutes.
No.
Well, to be fair.
Did you hear what she said right before that?
No.
She goes, we might be angry fucking later.
No, I didn't hear that. That is...
Yeah.
Well, to be fair to Mitch, like, I don't think they've been in an argument like that in front of us for a long time.
So it's not an argument.
Yeah,
it's a work disagreement. This is not a relational argument.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. That's why, like... So as far as trade wins is concerned, like someday I hope that Janine can be part of our trade wins team. Like when it gets to the point where it's really big.
I don't hope Danielle can.
Because ouch.
She keeps asking.
That's no offense to Danielle. She doesn't need to be.
Janine is super organized and she can manage like 20 people in a really tight how do I say this? In a tight budgeted environment.
Right.
Like from working in the healthcare industry, she's done it.
She's good at saying no.
Yeah, she's good at looking you in the eye, giving you the finger, not saying anything, walking away, and then turning back around and going, fuck off. Like, that's just, she has no problem with that. So I'm hoping that...
Hey, if you like what you're hearing on The Void and you want even more info, we just started a mentorship program specifically for trades professionals to start their business or to get their business to an incredibly healthy position. So if you'd like more info, click on the link in the description of this show.
Like if someday TradeWinds takes off, like she could be there. But at the same time, I'm like scared to death because we will have conversations just like you guys were having tonight. Like, oh, yeah. So later when you're asleep, I'm going to stab you in the neck.
Well,
like I know she's not a redhead like your wife, so I'm not as scared. But seriously, I wouldn't sleep in the same room with your wife if her and I were having an argument. Like I don't mean to be offensive, but there's no fucking way that would happen. Like I'd be scared to death, dude. She's crazy as hell.
We do a really good job of separating business from personal though. Like we can have arguments about business and then be like, all right, where's date night? And then go have a personal date night and
you know what that means? You're both psychopaths.
Oh, maybe. We're just really good about separating it. That's all.
She literally said, we maybe hate fucking
So, ironically, what we were bickering about is the topic of the show.
What's the topic of the show?
The topic of the show is guarding your time.
We've only been talking 6 minutes. What else you want? You want to talk about anything else?
No, this is going to take. This is probably going to take a while.
Okay.
We get off on a lot of tangents.
Yeah, he's got a lot of steam. We got to let it roll.
I don't know if it's steam.
Tip that barrel over.
Shit, I don't know what it is today.
When you're running a business, starting a business, or anything else, you got to realize that your time is the most important asset you have. Time is the one thing in the entire world we can't get back. You could lose all your money and make it back. You could lose all your employees and make it back. You could lose your spouse and get them back or get somebody else, right? I mean, you can't lose your kids and get them back, right? I mean, I get that, right? But
your spouse is dead. You give your spouse. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Danielle's replaceable. Understood. Move on.
What I'm saying is time is the one thing we can't get back. And so you have to, when you're younger in business, you have nothing but time, right? And we've mentioned it on the show before that poor people will spend time to save money and wealthy people will spend money to save time because they understand how important their time is. Right. Yeah. And it's not a selfish thing. It's literally
it's what life is.
Well,
it's just what it is.
And as you're growing a business, and I can say this I mean, we only have nine employees in the whole company. But I can say this having 9 employees because I can understand it for companies that have 90 or 900 employees. That as the owner of that company, your time is the most important thing. And so you know, when you're young in business, you're poor. So you're spending time to save money. Yeah. But as you start getting established, you start to become closer to wealthier, right?
Yeah.
And so now you start spending money to save time. We talked about it on a couple of episodes ago where we are buying our time back, right?
Or attempting to, yeah.
Right. We're delegating tasks to other people to free up our time.
And that's where it starts, right? You hire someone to take part of your job away from you so that you have time. Like you don't realize it at the time, but that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You are literally buying time so that you can focus your energy in another place to either grow your business or work on another focus, whether it be outside the business, whatever. More family time, doesn't matter.
Or maintain your sanity.
Yeah,
right?
So you don't kill people.
Yeah, there's a lot of control freak business owners out there that refuse to hire managers and refuse to hire these people that could help
Summers.
that could help pilot their ship.
Yeah.
And instead, they literally go insane, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of those people are of the adage of like, if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself.
Well, and those people literally, I mean, they are control freaks.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's so weird. And I know 3 or 4 different old guys that are like this. At the beginning, they were willing to do that, to hire people to work on stuff, to free up their time, to grow their business or take on other ventures or whatever. And then as they get older, like that bubble shrinks.
Yeah.
A guy quits or whatever, and they don't want to hire another manager, and then they just take that on.
Yeah.
And then that kind of becomes their persona of then the next guy
they become
leaves,
a lone wolf,
and then they take that, and then they're a lone. Exactly, they're a lone wolf, and they're like, no one else can take it. This is what it's going to be. And if I haven't known them or had them hired before or whatever, I'm not bringing someone on to train them.
Yeah.
And the thing about all those people that I know, everything they have in common is they're extremely wealthy and don't have to do it. They just love it and want to do it and are pretty insane and don't care about their family.
It's like a paid hobby at that level, right?
I think it's, yes. I mean, I want to say that, but I think really it's part of an underlying issue of they can't let go.
Oh yeah.
Like
Totally.
If I don't do this, I feel worthless. Yeah. Even though I've built this empire.
Well, that's why you see sports players retire and then come back out of retirement.
Yeah.
Because
same thing.
they can't handle that adjustment.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I know guys that are worth $30 million and literally could go fishing every day, hunting in the fall and the winter, have vacation homes, and they still work every day. It's like, dude, do you know that when you die, like you can't take that money with you?
Right.
Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
The whole reason not the whole reason, but a main reason we started the podcast and Trade Winds is to help everyone get to a level where they can then sell off or be satisfied where they're at so that they can retire and have time with their families.
Right.
Like, that's what's really important, right?
Well, and the idea that, you know, the government system of you work until you're 68...
Fuck them.
And then you enjoy, like the average person lives to 75. So I'm supposed to work I'm supposed to work my entire life so I can try to enjoy the shittiest 7 or 8 years of my life, like the last 7 or 8 years.
And I know you don't know this, but so on the Monday Motivationals, I did one that's a whiteboard and it's like a graph and it's like 10, 20, 30, like those are years of your life. And it was like retire here and this. And then at the end, I think I put it at 78, like most likely you're just dead.
Dead. Right.
And so like I explained like, hey, look, if you're going to retire and you're going to have a small business, like your goal is here. It's 50, it's 55. Yeah. Like that's your goal so that you can enjoy some of that time, but you have to have a plan to get there.
Yep.
You should start watching my Monday Motivationals.
Well, now that you're posting them in the group, I will.
Don't you think that's better?
Yeah, I 100% think it's better.
So, they don't have to log in.
And all you got to do is tag at everyone when you post it.
I don't have to. It's in the group.
I understand, but
so that they get a notification.
You get one at everyone tag a day.
Yeah. Did you watch mine today?
I did.
From this week. What'd you think? Was it okay?
It's good.
Okay.
Love it.
All right.
So,
that's the thing about Mitch. I can't ever tell if he's lying to me or not.
I don't lie.
Well, something to add to this is...
you don't? You thought it was good? Okay.
Yeah.
Elon Musk talks about it in interviews where he's obviously crazy, successful, and wealthy, but he loves the engineering, and he'd rather spend all of his time engineering than...
Yeah, because that's his passion.
Yeah.
That's what drives him. That's what gives his life focus.
I think he says he spends like 80% of his time like in the engineering side of...
Yeah. He probably flips up his computer, and there's 75 monitors, and then he probably loves diving into the engineering.
Yeah.
It's like you with the video.
So
you don't want to own your own business. You want to do videography.
I go through phases where I'm like, dude, I think I can do this. And then there's some days where I'm like, dude, like, I don't see myself being the guy that's like hopping from wedding to senior shoot to senior shoot. Like I want to do, if I do anything, it's going to be freaking like big, big operation.
Yeah.
See? Same thing.
So getting back on topic here with guarding your time.
I apologize. I just stole all of your time, Mitch.
That's all right.
And by I'm sorry, I mean I'm not sorry.
I know.
Fuck you.
I know you.
Get after it.
So when we're talking about time, so like when you're young in business, you don't have customers yet, you don't have service calls yet, so you're willing to spend tons of time to get to a good level.
Yeah.
Well, then as all of that starts working and starts gaining traction, well, now you have more work than you can handle. And so you have to use your time wisely and hire people and put them in the right places and empower people to do the task for you and buy back your time, right? And like our company has a total of 9 employees, there's a lot of time that is required of me that nobody will ever see and nobody will ever be able to attribute to, right?
Yeah.
We have, like right now, we have a wonky thing going on in our financial statements that I'm trying to get to the bottom of. And ultimately, it just takes time. It takes me learning about it. It takes me reaching out to it takes me reaching out to like our accountant and my financial person to learn like what happened to cause this, and is it real, is it not real, and all that stuff. So
you can't bring that shit up and not tell me what's going on.
So
what is
the last Q3? Yeah, the last Q3 report I pulled, we were at 20% net profit.
Yeah,
20% every month.
Fucking 1 month ago.
Right.
What are you talking about?
So I pulled a Q3 report 4 or 5 days ago, and it's showing 10% net profit. And there's like this big charge allocated to employee benefits, and we don't know where the charge came from.
So it's got to be your accountant.
It's a journal entry.
It's got to be a general journal entry that your accountant made because you or your wife didn't make it. I know that.
Right. And so the accountant is acting. The accountant is saying they didn't make it, but they're saying it was made, and like somebody had to make this journal entry. But ultimately, is this a journal entry that just mitigates some of our tax burden, and we were really at 20% net, but this just makes it look like less, so we don't have to pay as much taxes? Or
which could be
right. Or were we really actually 10% net profit, and then I've got big problems I need to go solve, right? And unfortunately, those types of things don't get fixed unless I'm dedicating time to having Zoom meetings with accountants to share screens and learn about this, and Zoom meetings with my financial guy to cut their bull. Like accountants don't talk in normal language. No. Accountants talk in accountant speak. And so I have to involve my financial guy so he can translate shit and he can call them on their bullshit because they're talking in accountant speak and I don't know if they're right or wrong, right? So it's all this work, right? And that's just one small example of when you're owning a business, and that's the things that you have to invest in that nobody will ever see. Like my employees don't care if I was 10% net or 20% net.
No, they don't. And they shouldn't. That's not their job to care.
Right.
Like,
totally.
And that's what we talk about when we talk about non-billable hours. Like those are non-billable hours that you're working.
Right.
Like, and that's why you're getting, it's so weird. Like what employees think versus what they actually know or what is the actual truth. There's like 3 versions there, right? Like, oh, Mitch is just fucking off all day.
Right.
Oh, why is he getting that salary? Well, Mitch is getting that salary because he's got to spend the next 24 hours fucking with that goddamn shit that no one wants to deal with.
I'm the middle paid guy in my company.
Don't distract me from what I'm saying.
Well, no, it's like if you take the risk, you get the reward. Like I remember having an argument about something like that, how she's like, oh, well, we should make as much money as a CEO. I'm like, you realize that like if he makes one bad decision and tanks Quit Trip, he's going down with it.
Yeah.
Because he's at the top.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. But in what you were saying earlier about accountant versus financial strategist, like that's why I have always liked doing my own bookkeeping and my own staying on top of everything and my own, like when my accountant has a question, I go there.
Right.
Like I don't Zoom call. I go there and I say, okay, bring up my stuff.
Yeah. My accountant's in Florida, so that can't happen.
Maybe you should get one that's local.
No. No, I love my accountant.
Maybe you should get, so what? Who cares?
I don't need to go see.
I want to go in there and I want the screen to be in front of us and then I look them in the eye because I know then, hey, look, what is this? And I can point fucking at it. But now I know you can do that on Zoom and I know blah, 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 blah. I like interpersonal relationship with the people that are handling my money.
Right.
And the people that are watching my kid and like we said this a little bit earlier, I'm a super control freak about not about a lot of things, but the things I am, like it's over the top.
Right. Well, so like I don't want to have a super personal relationship with my accountant. I don't want to view my accountant as my friend. They have a job to do. Their job is to guard my finances, and their job is to deliver the goods, right?
Keep your enemies close and your friends even closer. That's the same thing with accountant. I want them to know that I'm over their shoulder and within arm's reach at all times.
And so like
I will drive to your fucking house if my shit gets messed up, so it fucking better not be.
Yeah, like for me,
I know that's over the top, but what I was saying before, I'm just super paranoid about that stuff.
Yeah, I don't need to go to the office to do that. Plus, on the topic of guarding my time, I don't want to waste the 30-minute drive it would take to get to the accountant's office and back. And I don't want to waste I want to be able to control my time doing exactly what I want or need to do in the business, and then take 30 seconds to transition into a Zoom meeting and bark the orders, tell them demand the results or do whatever needs to happen. And then I want to immediately after the Zoom meeting's over, take the 30 seconds to transition back into doing what I want to do.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm gonna, like what you just said there, what I want to do. So like what I want to do is to know interpersonally what's happening with my money.
Right.
So everyone has to have a different idea of what's important to them and what's not wasting their time, how they see it.
Right. Like we all get to choose where we invest our time. Right.
Where I want to invest my time is knowing where that money's at and knowing exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
You want to trust someone or have trust with someone that is making the right decisions and then focus your energy on building the business.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It's trust that they're doing it right, but obviously, like I just caught an anomaly. Our profit was cut in half on the books.
That's what I'm saying.
And I caught it within several hours of it happening. And so now, like, I don't want to have to spend the time to figure this out, but I have to in order for the success of the business. Yeah. Right.
And I love that stuff. I'm like, I love it. Like being on top of that stuff is what drives me to be great. It's so weird. Like how everyone has different things that they're passionate about in a certain business. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like for you, it feels like a waste of time, right? Because you shouldn't have to be doing it.
No. It does not feel like a waste of time. I think what you're confused, it's not the meeting with the accountant that's a waste of time. It's the thought that I have to have a local, like what you were saying, I had to have a local accountant so I can go stand in their office. Like I can have an accountant anywhere in the world as long as we can achieve the results and I can meet through Zoom whenever I need to discuss anything. Yeah. Right? Like I don't have to have that go out to dinner with, like I've gone out to dinner with my accountant, and that's one of the accountants I fired.
I'm not taking them out to dinner. I just, when shit's messed up, I want to be able to be there.
Yeah.
Like face to face.
And like, I don't need the
friends, but I want to be there.
I don't need the face to face. Like I can send the email, I can do the Zoom call, I can fire them if I don't get the results I need. Like all of that stuff. You don't have to have the local person for that. And I'll be honest with you, if you're listening to the show and you're wondering what to do for an accountant, a lot of times your local accountant is not the best one. There are a lot of tiny little mom and pop local accountants out there that are scared to death of the IRS. And you do not want an accountant that's scared of the IRS. No. You want an accountant that knows the rules and is willing to tell the IRS to fuck off when the IRS is wrong. Yeah. That's what you need in an accountant.
Well, and when you have it, like, so my accountant, they have, like, we have an agreement. I shouldn't say we. They have an agreement with all of their clients that they have to sign at the beginning of every tax season.
Right.
Or at the end of a tax season that says, hey, look, if the IRS comes calling, we're here for you. Right. This is what we do. This is what we offer. And then they sign it and it says, we have your back.
Right.
And then you sign it and then they file it and then they send it to you again that says, hey, by the way, just letting you know.
Yeah.
We have your back. Like those are good accountants because you know that they're not scared.
Right. Accountant red flags are when an accountant says that might trigger an audit and they're scared of the audit, that's a red flag. An accountant should not fear an audit. An accountant that fears an audit means they don't know if they're doing stuff right or they know they're doing stuff wrong. Otherwise, you won't be afraid of an audit.
Yeah.
Audit my ass, right? And if this is aggressive tax behavior that might trigger an audit, but we're good on taxes, audit me.
Well,
I don't care, right?
Just side tangent. Like the thing about a tax audit. So if you're pushing the fence on, we know there's a gray area. Okay. Everyone knows there's a gray area with taxes. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're pushing the gray area and you get audited and you haven't done anything wrong, you still have to pay the hours that your accountant is working on that.
Right.
And or attorney's fees if you have to get a tax attorney involved.
Right.
So even if you don't break the law, you could still be out money because you have to pay your CPA, you have to pay your attorney.
But here's the flip side. Here's the flip side to that.
It's not like you can sue the IRS for those costs down the road because you're just not.
Right. But here's the flip side to that. Let's say that a conservative accountant who's afraid of the IRS tells you that you owe $100,000 in taxes. And an aggressive accountant that's not afraid of the IRS says you owe nothing in taxes. You now have an extra 100 grand to play with.
Yeah.
So when the audit, if the audit comes, you should have been maintaining enough with your like the reason the audit comes is because the government's fearful or inquisitive that you're not paying your fair share in taxes.
Yes.
And so
that's more
if you have an aggressive accountant, you're now spending less in tax. Like that's what triggered the audit. You're spending less in taxes.
Yeah.
You should have the extra funds to offset that should it arise, right?
Well, we're going to get into something that it doesn't even matter, but like that is a black and white theory and that's not how it normally works. That being said, if you've saved that $100,000 and then you go through the audit and you have to pay that $100,000, now you have to pay $100,000 plus attorney's fees,
right?
Plus tax. And I'm not arguing your point. I'm just saying like you have to know what you're getting into when you're getting into it. And a good accountant will tell you that.
Right.
Like, so there is accounting software out there that accountants use when they plug all your they call it, this is like a street term, but they call it the red flag software, right? As you're filing taxes, there's this software that it goes through,
right,
that says, hey, this is going to raise a red flag before it even goes out.
Right.
And the good accountants know that before it even gets to that software.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's no different than any other trade out there. But your experienced tradesmen know what's going to cause a problem before it happens. Your inexperienced people are just flying by the seat of their pants, and then they get surprised by a problem, and they're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
But the good accountants that have that software, they know it going into it, and then if a red flag does get raised, they will bring it up to you before they file and say, hey, like we think that this flag will go down if you do X, Y, and Z.
What's wrong with raising a red flag?
So when the red flags go up, you do get audited.
Okay. What's wrong with that?
If you're if it's an even number, if it's, hey, you're going to break even here, okay? But the red flags are up and they're going to audit you, okay? And they audit you and you owe nothing. You're going to owe us $1,500 for having to deal with them. And you're going to owe a tax attorney $2,500 for having to deal with them.
That's all.
Even though I'm just saying, just for having that red flag up, even though it wasn't. Now, if you're, and that's what I'm saying, if a good tax attorney, it says, hey, we can get that flag down if you move $1,000 to this.
Right.
That flag goes down, you have nothing to worry about, and you're not audited, which means you don't have to pay us more money, you don't have to pay a tax attorney any more money, and the IRS isn't up your butt.
Right. All of this, though, is left to the professionals at the tax place. And this is why I have a financial coach that is my intermediary between the accountants and my tax accountants and me, right? Because without that financial coach, then what's happened is you're left to trust your accountant. And you don't have the knowledge or the wherewithal to agree or disagree with your accountant. You just have to take them at their word. And so basically the way that my setup is I have a financial coach that tells my accountant what to do. My accountant doesn't tell me what to do. My financial coach and I have discussions about what we want done in the business. And then he literally goes to the accountant and says, do this. And if they don't do it, they're fired.
Yeah.
Accountants like to act like their ass is on the line if I get audited. Their ass absolutely is not on the line.
No, if
there's not one accountant ever that's been like put in prison because a business was underreporting revenue.
If you have an accountant that's like that, that's not your accountant.
Right.
That's like red flag number one. That being said about the financial advisor, and you and I are in completely like different places.
Yeah.
Like when my accountant says stuff like that, this is going to make me sound like a huge douche. Like I know the difference. But I study that stuff and I know. And I bring that, and I only bring that up because people that aren't at the level that you're at with their business, like a lot of the TradeWinds members, they don't have the money to be paying a financial coach to do that. Okay, they just don't have that fucking money.
Some of it is not, do you have the money to pay the coach? It's, can you afford to not to?
You were not paying a financial advisor year one.
No.
That's
what
I'm
right,
saying.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You can't.
I also went through 2 accountants in year one. And I got fucked with a $40,000 tax bill in 15 days to pay it.
And that's what...
Had I had a financial advisor...
You're making my point for me. It is, as small business owners, it is up to us to know as much as... Like, we always want to put the burden on the accountant for, okay, I'm doing all this work and I'm doing all this stuff and I've hired you to do it. And I trust you to do it because I've hired you. That's not how it works. There is still a burden on you to know as much as you can.
Yeah.
And it's a hard burden. That's a big giant weight to put on top of people that don't know anything else.
Right.
But you have to, because you don't have the fucking money to do it.
But
don't.
Here's the flip side.
You're speaking in terms of what I've learned. And if I could hindsight and go back, but that's not how it is.
Right.
You can't fucking do that.
But here's the flip side.
But what you can do is fucking research shit and know where you're at.
Am I an accountant business or am I a plumbing company? There's not, people don't start plumbing companies because they're wizards in accountantry. So there comes a point where you don't have a choice. You have to go with your gut, hire the trusted professional, hire the highly referred person, and then have people audit that shit, right? And so that's where I've graduated to.
Yeah, but that's where you've got to. But
there's not a single listener of this show that, I want to say not a single one. Most people are not crazy savvy in the accounting world. Most people have to put all their stock in the accountant. That's the whole reason H&R Block exists and TurboTax exists and everything else, right?
Yeah.
And it's not the people's fault for not knowing. It's the tax code is 7,000 pages long.
Yeah, the tax code is bullshit.
H&R Block doesn't even completely understand it,
no,
right?
That's what Donald Trump said. He said, if I can't do my own taxes at my kitchen table, the system's broken.
So in an effort of guarding your time, I don't have the years it takes to become a financial expert to make sure the accountant of my $400,000 a year plumbing company is doing the right things. There comes a point where you have to put stock in that. And then as your company grows, you reinforce it. And so that's what I did. I put stock in one accountant, gone within 2-3 months, second month. I fired my first accountant 2 months in business. Yeah. And then I put stock in that other accountant. And the moment they surprised me with that $40,000 tax bill, gone immediately. Yeah. Right. And so now I'm on my third accountant, but now I have a financial coach that oversees all this shit to make sure that I do not get into that position again.
Yeah.
And it's because I don't have the time to go learn. It's not like I'm refusing to learn the stuff. What started all this is, I understood a problem. Now I have to go learn at least this small subject of it so that I know what's going on, right? But, accounting is infinite and ever changing. You'll never learn it all the way. And if you're the guy that you were referring to at the beginning of the show where he lost a guy and he doesn't want to replace him, I'll just do it myself. And I lost a guy and don't want to replace him and I do it myself. Well, then you just turn into this curmudgeon-y person that has zero trust in anybody.
Yeah.
And you don't grow, right?
Yeah.
Because you're trying to take it all on yourself.
Yeah.
And so like you have to put stock in other people. You have to put faith in other people.
Yes.
And so, but you also, it's like trust but verify, right? So I trust my new accountant's going to do well, but I also verify it. And I mean, I literally pulled P&L reports 8 days apart and saw this massive anomaly, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. Well,
right?
And what I was saying was, like, I'm not arguing that point. I'm arguing the point of, guys that are starting out don't have the money to hire both.
Correct.
They have money to hire one.
But also, too, guys that are starting out don't have the revenue to result in the massive tax burden to where it would make financial sense to even hire the coach.
I agree to that to a certain extent, unless they hire an accountant that is complete shit, which the way to negate a lot of that is to know the basics. Like, and the basics are whatever you think you're going to profit, you're paying 30% tax on it. You better have the money set aside.
Yeah, we covered all that in the core episodes.
Yeah, but hey, what do you tell me all the time? We're gonna keep repeating stuff that we've worked on all. Man, I want to light you on fire here in a minute.
Well, we're 35 minutes into the show and we haven't talked
shit. I don't care.
We're on this accounting tangent and we're not talking about guarding our time.
We will talk about it's my time. We'll talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about.
So, back on guarding your time.
Dave's guarding his time.
I'm guarding my time right now, god damn it.
Okay, so for everybody listening to the show, Dave has a significant financial awareness that most people don't. And so for Dave, he does not have to hire financial professionals to help oversee his accountants.
That's not true.
However, everybody else listening to the show should definitely look into it, because every member of Tradewinds that went and hired a financial person after our event has seen significant benefit from doing that. If you
have the money to do it.
Correct. Well, everything is if you have the money.
Yeah, well, the people that are only doing 200 grand a year don't have the money to do that.
People that are only doing 200 grand a year in revenue don't need to worry about getting fucked on their taxes because they're not going to have to pay very much.
Well, and they should also be doing their own taxes. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother fucking show. So when I was 18, I had to fill out my own fucking stupid 1040.
When we're talking about guarding your time,
I think I'm gonna hit him with this pistol.
As a growing business,
a good thing for the show, also.
No, I just know that I feel like we're gonna look back on this episode and we're just gonna like laugh at it. Like, remember that one time that it was just like a fire fest in the podcast room?
It's what happens. That's what happens when Mitch argues with his wife. Then he's just like argumentative about everything.
No,
like we talked about it downstairs. I said, "Hey, do you ever think that Mitch just like argues just to argue, even though he knows he's wrong?" She was like, "Yeah, he does." That's what she said, dude. Not me. She's 100% right. Look at his eye quiver.
For those who
can't
see
2 seconds
me,
from coming across this table.
For those who can't see me, I've been hiding behind my mic this whole time.
So, to get back on topic of how to guard your time, when you are a business owner and you have several employees, your time is the most precious commodity you have, and so you have to spend it where you need to spend it. And if you have significant financial awareness, you don't have to waste any time spending it there. You're good. If you have problems with your employees, you need to invest your time there. If you have problems building the business, you need to invest your time. Like, you're going to choose where you're going to spend that time. However, recognizing that time is the most precious thing ever, guard it with all of your heart. Learn to, like, we've done other shows about learning to say yes because you never know what's going to come from it. But there comes a point where you have to say no, right?
Yeah, because you just don't have the time. Like,
it's not that you don't have the time. It's that even if you made the time, it still wouldn't be worth it. So let me give you some prime examples. We're a plumbing company. Dry out companies love to network through plumbing companies. Companies that will come into flood damaged homes and businesses and dry them out.
Yeah.
They love to set up referral, programs with plumbers, right? But here's the bullshit part about it. These dry out companies want to come into my company meeting, my time, my employees, my location.
I think this is why he was fired up earlier.
Yes. We've been trying to get to it for 37 minutes.
Well, hey, so, you need to take it down a notch. Me and you are gonna have problems.
You wanted to know what Danielle and I were talking about, and I haven't gotten there yet.
Well, god damn it!
Because somebody wants to brag about financial awareness. So,
well, you know what? Have financial awareness. God damn it! We're teaching people shit here, Mitch.
So these people want to come into.
You ever been stabbed with an LBA pin?
These people want to come into my office on my employees' time and my meeting time and my everything and pitch their shit that makes me zero money but makes their company profit. It doesn't help my business in one bit. And they try to act like it will because they'll fix our flood damage stuff for free if we refer them. Well, yeah, so will the 7 other dry out companies in our area. Yeah, right?
And there's a lot out here. There's a fucking shitload.
So, like, I guard that time. And I'll get people that are like, hey, I'd love to come in and lead a meeting. And I'm like, no, those meetings are my time. Those meetings are to benefit my business, not yours, right? Yeah. I don't let them do that. Well, another thing that happens in our business, we provide the AFLAC accident policy. We pay for it for every employee in the company.
So if they get hurt, it's supplemental. They pay their checks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We cover the accident policy. AFLAC has a whole bunch of other policies. Yeah. They've got, cancer policies, short-term disability, long-term.
Your employees can choose to pay for.
Right. Yeah. And so
it's
AFLAC,
actually pretty good insurance.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's good insurance.
We wouldn't offer it if we didn't think it was a benefit to our employees. But here's where it comes to guarding my time. Every single employee, and I'm going to call AFLAC tomorrow and get to the bottom of this. And this is what Danielle and I were arguing about.
Eat some butt?
Every single employee that we want to sign up through AFLAC wants to sit them down on my time and spend 2 hours pitching all the rest of their products to them. And I'm like, I don't think somebody has to sit through.
They want to have so they want to put on like everyone comes in and then they give like a presentation. Is that what you mean?
Every employee one-on-one. I hired a guy last week.
One-on-one, okay.
I hired a guy last week. They want a 2-hour meeting with him.
So instead of 2 hours over all of them, it's 2 hour per.
Well,
which is the same amount of time, but I get it.
No, it's 2 hours individually because you're not hiring. You didn't hire all your employees on the same day.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Right. So
I get it.
I've been griping because Danielle sets all this up. She handles all that stuff. And I've been griping to her about you can't tell me that it's required to have a 2-hour in-person meeting on my time so that I can buy them insurance. And then AFLAC can try to sell them more shit, right? Like the only person that's profiting here from this is AFLAC.
When I ask you one question?
What?
Last night when we were talking to Shelby on the one-on-ones, and we were talking about when someone's blown up at work, and you were like, usually it's like a problem at home, and not like a problem with work.
This is not a home problem coming to work.
Hey,
this
is no judgment. I had to ask.
This is me looking out for the profitability of the business and the best use of our time. And the best use of our company's time is not helping other companies make money.
Okay, continue on then.
So now,
disaster averted.
AFLAC apparently has new policy updates, and so they want to come in and spend 3 hours with my entire company to go over their new updates. And Danielle was telling me about that downstairs, and I'm like, no. I don't even let PowerDry or any of these other companies come into my meeting and steal my time. I'm not letting AFLAC do it.
I will say this: AFLAC was the only one for a while. Now there's a ton of companies that offer supplemental insurance. Dude, just move to the next one.
Well,
you're gonna call them and you're gonna bitch at them, and they're gonna say blah blah blah. If they say that's our policy, move on.
Right.
Get to the next one.
Here's what in the digital day and age.
Federated Insurance, and this is not a plug. My brother-in-law works for Federated. They do one.
They all do them.
I doubt they make you block out 4 hours.
I don't think AFLAC does. I think AFLAC asks if they can, as if they need to.
Oh,
and then you do
spiel.
Because they're wanting to come in and do a sales pitch. Literally, the whole 2-hour meeting is, oh yeah, the company provides this one, but let's talk about all these others.
Yeah,
and it's like, fuck no.
Yeah.
So do that on your own time.
You're gonna call them tomorrow and you're gonna be like, hey, I want to provide this. I'm not doing this meeting bullshit. If you don't want to do it, I'm moving on to the next one.
If they have to meet for 2 hours, schedule a Zoom call at 6 p.m. Don't do it on my time. I'm already paying that employee and I'm already paying their benefits. I don't need to pay that employee to be sold shit from you.
Yeah.
Is essentially what it is, right?
Yeah.
So that's guarding my meet. We have once a week meetings for our entire company. So that's 52 times a year out of the entire year. There's only 52 times a year where we get together and talk team-wise about how to advance the company forward. The last thing I want to do is start giving away one of those 52 opportunities for somebody else to make money and not benefit my company in the slightest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe you should ask him, be like, hey, look, I'll let you do it and suck all that up. I want $1,000.
Well, yeah, let's sell my meeting time, right?
Yeah, sell your meeting time.
So
it's kind of almost
like an asshole move, but that's what I'd do. I think, hey, you want to sell my, like, where's my fucking check, dude?
Yeah.
I think a big part of this is, like, it may seem intense, but what happens is if you let one person in, then the second person, a third person.
Well, what happens is you establish the habit of letting people steal your time. And the reason I'm fired up about this is because I was guilty of this for a while. I would have meetings with people that I had no intention on going anywhere. It was just like, oh, you're a fellow business owner. I'm a fellow business owner. Let's go out to lunch. And there's no reason why. Like, what? Well, I don't know what they could offer me. I don't know what I could offer them.
Well, it's because you just feel like, oh, I'm part of this community and this is what I should do.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't do anything.
It falls under the blind heading of networking, right?
Yeah. Fuck networking.
I mean, networking is important, but do it with intention. Guard your time.
I was just about to say intentional networking is important. Networking is not important.
Right. I've got this guy that wants to have, so as a part of Apex has like thousands of people in it. And as a part of Apex, there's all these people. The thing is, let's hop on a call, right? And they want to jump on a Zoom call and learn about each other and see if we can help each other out, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, okay,
unless she's hot and she's licking my sack, I'm out.
Yeah, that doesn't happen on Zoom calls.
I know, that's my point.
But like,
it's worthless.
There's, you get all these people that are like, hey, I see you're doing awesome things. Let's hop on a call sometime. And I used to be like, yeah, okay. And now I'm like, no. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I don't have the time for that.
I'm busy, motherfucker.
And
I got shit going on.
Some of these guys are aggressive salesmen, and they'll call me out, and they'll be like, do you not have the time, or you're not willing to make the time? And I'm like,
both.
Bingo. I'm not willing to make the time for you because I'm focused on growing my own business. I had somebody just message me the other day, this morning. Hey, I'm having an event. Are you coming? And I'm like, no. My sole focus right now is my business, not what you're selling at your event. I said, I'll get there if it. So
what were they selling?
He teaches how to get into like real estate investing.
Oh.
And I mean, okay, like
buy stuff.
I might learn, right? But right now I don't need to be learning about real estate investing. I'm trying to grow my business to a certain plateau. And so, I'm guarding that time. I'm not going to go waste time sitting in a seminar for something that I have zero intentions on doing over the coming days, right? Another massive time suck. And plumbers, this is for you, but get ready. A massive time suck is going to plumbing conventions. Those conventions where it's nothing but booths for miles. And all it is people trying to sell you shit. Well, guess what? They have this thing now called the internet. And every single thing at that convention you can get at the touch of your fingertips without having to travel anywhere, without having to go anywhere. And you can get all the information you need.
Dude.
But plumbers love to sacrifice their time to go walk around a convention center for hours on end being pitched sewer machines and sewer cameras and this and that and everything else.
Yeah. You need a Valium.
Yeah. I'm just, the show is guarding your time, and I'm pointing out all of the areas where our time gets robbed from us.
Well, I mean, it's bad, and those shows are bad. They're the same thing as a home show.
They used to be great.
It's a home show. You're right. They did used to be great. That was a long time ago.
They used to be great before the internet. They used to be great before YouTube. They used to be great.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, November 1st rolls around and you're seeing Black Friday deals. Remember when Black Friday was on a Friday after Thanksgiving?
Not that
9 p.m.
Now it's November 1.
What's the Star Wars thing? Not so long in a galaxy, not so far away.
Yeah.
It was recently.
Yeah,
but now it's today. I saw a Best Buy one yesterday.
Yeah,
right.
Like, it was like, dude, what?
Right.
Like, what?
And so, like, if you again spend your time intentionally, right? I've known guys that are like, I need new sewer cameras. I'm going to the convention to talk to the sewer camera people in person, to put my hands on them, to use them in person.
Yeah.
And then I'm leaving the convention with one in my truck. That's the one perk of those conventions is a lot of times they'll sell their floor shit for a fraction of the price.
Well, and you can compare, like you can literally compare all 5 in a 10-minute window. You're like, okay, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this. That one's my favorite. I want to get it.
Right.
You can buy the floor model or buy it later. But you're right. That's like the one big perk.
Those are the one big perks for that. But unfortunately, most people think of it as like a vacation, and they just go there wasting their time, and they try to call it work stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a big time suck, right? But ultimately, all right, so you've newly started your company and you're trying to pinch pennies. However, you don't realize the biggest thing that's hurting you right now is not gathering all of your information into one spot and making it super efficient for you to use. So the answer is Field Pulse. It gets you off of paper tickets. It gets you off of all of that crazy office work at the end of the day and reconciling all that stuff. And it lets you organize everything with ease. It puts it all into the computer. It actually puts it all into the cloud. So it's not even putting it on your computer. And it lets you organize your customers. It lets you organize all of your service calls. Heck, it'll even route you to your service call. And the best part is, even after all of that, you'll probably realize about a 100% growth in your business just in the first year of using Field Pulse. So if you'd like to check out Field Pulse and see what great looks like, click on the link in the description of this show. Your time is the most valuable thing ever. And so you need to be aware of how much time you are wasting everywhere. And what's kind of brought this up? And
it's daily, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
So I noticed this. It's weird. The older I've gotten and the more stuff I take on, like I've noticed not necessarily how valuable my time is, but how much time I have to delegate to each individual process or job or whatever to get things done. And it's made me aware that I don't have as much time as I thought I had when I was 25.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just don't have it. Well, you do not have it. It makes you be very meticulous about how you schedule, about things that you take on, about what's going to be profitable and what's going to be not. It's the older you get and the more stuff you take on, the more important it is to be aware of your time, your scheduling, and what you have going on.
The better you manage your time, the faster your business will grow. And so that's why you have to start managing your time at a young age in business. Even if you don't have employees yet, you still have to be very, very careful of how you manage your time.
100%.
And so like if you're a one guy in a truck operation, your truck better be fucking spotless. And the reason why I say that is because if your truck's not spotless and you're constantly having to dig through shit to find shit, you're wasting your own time. Yeah. And you're wasting your customer's time, right?
100%.
And so when you hire somebody and they see your nasty truck, they're going to have a nasty truck. And then they're going to be wasting their time and your time because now you're actually paying them more to have a shitty truck.
Yeah. And like, so
and
when you're,
it's just because they're following your lead.
And when you're a one-man shop, like I was, like everything in that truck has to be organized, and not only organized, but you have to know where everything's at and what you have.
And because I'll go one step further.
That's the difference between 4 service calls a day and 6.
Right.
Or 3 service calls and having to make 3 45-minute trips to the supply house because you don't have it.
Right.
Like you have to be organized. And you have to know where everything's at.
It goes beyond having to know where everything's at, because I've seen guys with shitty trucks that know where everything is in the pile of shit, right? Well, they know where that ball valve is hiding under the pile of used parts and scrap and trash from 4 days ago, right? Yes. You have to have a system for where everything is.
Well, and that system, when you hire someone else later, that system is already in place.
Right.
Right?
Right. You have to have a system for why the truck is set up the way it is and where everything is and why the quantities are what they are and everything. Like we have a very exacting system for what's on our trucks and why and where. All the way down to this shit's heavy, so it goes on a bottom shelf, so the truck's not top heavy. This shit's light. Like all of our PVC.
We don't want to flip one.
Yeah, all of our PVC fittings are on the top shelves.
Yeah.
And that's not just because that's where they landed. It's because they're lightweight.
Yeah.
And all of our garbage disposals and sump pumps and black iron fittings are on the bottom shelves.
Yeah.
Because they're heavy.
I can't wait to steal one of your trucks.
Yeah.
It's going to be fucking awesome.
So,
Spencer leaves his outside.
All of the guys leave them outside.
I see them out there every time.
Almost every service truck ever is left outside because they don't fit in garages.
Do you You got your laptop, right?
Yeah.
Open that up. Google how to steal a Ford Transit.
Yeah.
Email that video to me.
So you've got to be running in a situation of guarding your time. And like, I want to be transparent. What's brought all this up and what's made it fiery for me is I started 75 hard 8 days ago.
Oh, God.
Right? So that takes up a lot of your time because you're committing 2 45-minute workouts a day, right? Like everything else is not too big of a time thing. It's the 2 45-minute workouts that you got to get in. So you're like making time for that. But then in addition to all of that, I got one plumber that's on vacation. I got another plumber that called out sick. I got a brand new plumber that I'm training and having to ride with. And I've got installers that are out doing jobs that need my attention all day long too, not to mention all the other phone calls and everything else that it takes to run the business.
Sounds like you need to get laid.
I'm in a service truck. I'm in a service truck trying to train my new guy.
Yeah.
And give him the attention and time he deserves, because the faster I get him trained, the faster he gets to making really good money, right? But then in addition to all that,
it frees up your time.
Well, yeah, the faster I get him trained, I'm buying my time back, right? Yeah. So I'm trying to do all of that. Plus we got trade wins. Plus we got the podcast. Plus I'm doing 75 hard.
Dude, you ain't fucking telling me nothing.
Plus my staff was like at a fraction of what it was yesterday.
You ain't fucking telling me shit, bro.
Right.
I know.
So
I know.
But what I'm saying is when moments like these come, it will highlight how well you have your time balanced and how well you don't, right? And so if you don't have your time, like all of these times are going to be stressful. But if you don't have your time balanced really well, you will drown in these moments. If you have your time balanced really well, it's going to put you to the test, but you're not going to drown, right? Like right now, I am going through some struggles in the time management thing. There's just not enough time in the day right now, right?
Yeah.
And it's environmental things that have all stacked on top of each other. 75 hard and training a new guy and understaffed and accounting problems and needing to do meetings there, but I can't because I'm in a truck and, you know, all of these things. However, I still have a base level of letting my calendar own me, right? I live and die by my calendar. And so I have a base level of that awareness going on that allows me to survive through it, right? But like as you are, like you got to guard your employees' time as well. If you're listening to this show and you have employees, you have to guard their time too. And sometimes guarding their time is routing their service calls in an efficient manner so that they don't have consistent back-to-back 1 hour drive times between calls. Right.
Yeah. You have to be aware of their time.
Yeah. And everyone's service areas.
You have to be aware.
Everyone's service areas are different. Right. But like, and sometimes this is avoidable and sometimes it's not. It just depends on when the calls come in and how they're organized and everything else. But like, let's say you have a city that's 30 minutes from your shop and most of your work is near your shop and you have one call tomorrow that's an outlier at that 30 minute away. Right. Well, if somebody else calls in that outlier area and needs service, like you owe it to your guy and your company and therefore you to try to reschedule some around and get both of those outlier calls back to back.
Yeah, you need to reschedule his next call and then move that call into that space.
Or do whatever, right? And
that's ideal.
Yeah, well, it just kind of depends. It depends on the urgency of the calls and why they're calling and can they wait? Is it a future install estimate that they want? Like, hey, we're thinking about remodeling the bathroom.
Well, then, yeah, you don't do that.
Obviously, you're not getting to that right away, right? But like, there's dynamics for that. But what I'm saying is being aware of your travel time so you're routing efficiently and guarding your time, right? You know, there are so many areas out there where you have to look at it like, and you're not being a dick. Like when I call Aflac tomorrow and tell them, no, you're not coming in and stealing my entire company's time for 3 hours.
That's the difference between you and I. I would call and be a dick.
Well, no, I'm going to call
I'd be forceful and I'd be a dick.
But that's what I'm saying. They may think I'm being a dick, but I'm not. I'm looking out for the profitability and the success of my own company. Well,
and that's number one.
Right.
That's your number one job.
Right. My number one job is not to make sure I give Aflac a bunch of clients. My number one job is to make sure I've got a profitable plumbing company that can give back to our employees and our community. Right.
Right.
And so like, I'll find this out tomorrow, and I'm willing to bet that I'm right. But you can't tell me that Aflac can't schedule a 2-hour Zoom call at 6 p.m. and get all the information to everybody that they want. And
the guys can want to.
The guys can look at it on their own time.
That's probably the deal.
Right?
They just don't want to. They're like, hey, we want to try to schedule 9 to 5ers.
So I got asked today, do I ever send guys off for specialized training? And I said, absolutely not. And they were like, what? Why? And I'm like, they don't they won't value it. I'm going to spend my time and my money to send a guy off for offsite training somewhere, some specialty training.
He's eating barbecue for lunch, not paying attention.
He looks at it like it's a work vacation and, I guess I got to maybe learn a little bit while I'm here, right?
Fuck yeah.
So, like, if a guy's not willing to learn on his own time, he's definitely not going to learn on your time.
What does that have to do with Aflac?
Well, it's just all those times where you're robbing time away from your own company.
I mean, why would they care? That's what I'm saying. Why would Aflac give a shit if you're sending your guys off somewhere else?
No. Aflac didn't ask.
Oh,
somebody else asked me, do I ever send my guys off for offsite training?
Why the fuck would Aflac be asking you that?
No, somebody else asked me. And I told him, I don't waste it. If that guy's not willing to put in the time, effort, and energy and learn that on his own, he's not going to learn it when I pay for it. Like, it's not the money standing in the way, it's the desire. And that's, you can't create desire in somebody that they don't have within themselves. And so, I can't be like, hey, I'm going to send you off to Navian training. It's 3 days in California. Come back ready to learn or, ready to implement what you learned. Like, they're looking at it like it's a company paid 3-day vacation.
Yeah, exactly. I would do the same thing. I'd be like, fuck yeah, dude, go to that, go to the bar, go to that, go to the bar, go to that, go to the bar, come back and be like, hey, I read the manual.
Dude,
that's basically what's happened.
I have an above average. Like, I'm not patting myself on the back here. I'm just being honest.
It's not above average.
you will open that door for him.
I'm not patting myself on the back here. This is just, it is what it is. I have a significantly above average level of intelligence when it comes to plumbing, especially plumbing diagnostics.
Ooh,
and
challenge accepted.
I'd smoke you. But anyway.
Would we? Would we?
I get asked all the time, but like guys will be stumped on a problem for 2 hours and they'll call me and I'll solve it with them within 10 minutes over the phone.
Yeah.
And they're like, how the fuck did you know that? Like, where did you go to learn that?
It's called experience.
It's not called experience. It's called application of my own personal time to learn it, right?
That's what experience is.
I mean, no, it's not. Like, experience is only experience if you applied yourself during the time. Like, it's no different than the guy who says, I've got 20 years of experience. Do you? Or do you have 5 years of experience and then you've milked it for another 15 years in the industry? Like, 15 years ago, did you stop learning?
We're not talking about them. We're talking about you.
Right. But what I'm saying is I never stop learning. I'm always looking for new ways to do things. I'm always looking for new processes. I'm always looking for faster ways to diagnose things. In our area, gas water heaters are really popular. Electric water heaters are not all that common, but they're coming because new construction, you're seeing a lot of electrics, right?
I was going to say it's been 90% electrics for the last 10 years.
Yeah. And so as those water heaters start to age out, plumbers are going to have to start learning how to work on electric water heaters, right? And you should know. But this is regional.
The good thing about electric water heaters are, unless the tank's leaking, you can rebuild the entire thing. Cost-wise, $50.
Depending on the ethics of the company, yes or no, right? Like, you've got some unethical companies out there that are like, you got a bad thermostat, but I'm going to tell you need a whole new water heater.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm going with this. Because plumbers in our area don't have to work on electric water heaters all that much, they refuse to learn how to work on them. And then whenever they come up to one, they because they don't know how to work on them, they sell through fear because I'm afraid I don't know how to work on it. So the only solution I know here is to replace it.
The craziest thing is they're easier to work on than gas.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean literally you can ohm out the two elements in 5 minutes, and if it's not that, guess what? It's the controls.
And if you're the guy that's just
an entire rebuild for $50,
if you're like here's the bad plumber, right? They walk up to an electric water heater with a red reset button popped out. They push it in. They kind of look at it. They think to themselves, I don't fucking know what's going on, but it's heating right now, so I must have fixed it. And they walk away from there patting themselves on the back thinking they fixed it and didn't even realize that it's got a bad lower element.
Yeah.
Like a bad lower element is the cause of a red reset button popping out 90% of the time. Not every time, 90% of the time, right?
Give me a bad TMP.
We got a pretty badass YouTube video for how I diagnose those, and I'm not pitching the YouTube video.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm not, I mean, the video's got enough views, like anybody listening to the show is not going to impact that at all. But what I'm saying is you get to see, like most people, and if we have plumbers listening to this show, most people think you diagnose a bad element by ohming it out. And I proved that wrong in the video. I prove why ohming it out is not the best solution, because it can pass an ohms test, but it can fail an amperage test. And so you got to do an amp draw on each leg of the element to learn if it's partially failing. Because I've watched elements pass an ohms test and trip that red reset button a day later, and now I look like an idiot, right?
That's like,
so I had to go back and learn how do I prevent that.
Like I will say that, but the percentage of it actually that happening is like 1%.
It happens a lot. I mean, here's why.
You could
any plumbing company out there.
I've also seen them. I've done this. I've seen them where they will pass an ohm test and then you reset them, and then literally that element lasts 4 years, 5 years, and then you go back and now it's out.
Yeah.
So like it's not.
So that's not a bad.
It's not cut and dry that ohms versus amps will exactly tell you what's going on every time. I mean, it's like that's like a 1% failure.
Ohms,
2% failure.
Ohms will tell you if it's failed. Amps will tell you if it's good. And there's a big wide range between completely failed and good. You see a lot of partial failures in elements that will trick a lot of people here.
We're going to get into it here. So when you're running your voltmeter, like if you have it on continuity and it beeps, you put it on both sides, beep. Okay, there's continuity between it. That means that thing's intact. You hit it with the ohms. The ohms are supposed to be 16, and you put it on there, and the ohms are 2. Obviously, there's a section of it that's burnt or is starting to be melted.
Right.
You put it on there, and it's 8. It's not right, but that motherfucker may last 3 years. Right. You put it on there, and it's 14, and it's supposed to be 16 ohms. That son of a bitch is basically good, almost brand new. Like
possibly.
There are, like, saying that your ohm reading is a guarantee of that needs to be changed out is
what I'm saying is
the same thing as an electric motor.
What I'm saying is if it fails an ohms test,
an HVAC guy.
If it fails an ohms test, you do have a failed element. But if it passes an ohms test, that does not mean your element is good.
Yeah,
you have to run it through an amp draw test and compare one leg to the other.
Well, and that's true. But an amp draw test. So if that thing is, say that thing is 6 years old and it's covered in calcium, your amp draw test will be higher just because it's covered in calcium.
No, it won't.
Yes, it will.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope. You will never draw more energy from an element than the electrical system can provide. So what you end up seeing is less amperage because it's partially failing. And as it fails, the amperage gets less and less and less.
I didn't say partially failing. I said covered with calcium.
Yeah, covered with calcium, it'll still draw 18.75 amps.
So if that thing, but that doesn't have anything to do with the electrical, what's happening with the electrical. If that thing is drawing 18 amps, okay, but it's covered with calcium, it will draw more amps. But that doesn't mean that the electrical system will kick out.
Okay, here's the thing.
It won't.
This show's not about plumbing diagnostics, but I'll just nip this one in the bud and say...
I like this kind of talk.
Well, I get it, but what I'm saying is, in 20 years of doing this, I've never seen a 240 volt water heater draw more than 18.75 amps on an element, regardless of how much scale is in there.
Oh, I've seen it
as they fail,
serious fucking amps.
When the red reset and button pops, it's not because it's over amping.
No, I know. It's because of temperature.
Right. It's because there's a partial failure and the element's never shutting off.
Yeah.
And it's constantly heating the water slightly.
Yeah.
And so you have to go find that partial failure. And when you're looking for that partial opening in the element, without removing it, you can have a partial opening in the casing of an element and it will pass the Ohm's test because it's still drawing the right resistance, right?
And it's like the same thing is, have you ever seen a completely blown element and the reset didn't kick? It's because the reset went bad.
Well,
and it was drawing more amps than it was supposed to be and burned up that element because the safety didn't kick.
Sometimes you get a bad safety. Like a completely blown element won't trip a reset because a completely blown element won't heat the water.
But it should have been blowing that element before it completely failed.
Right.
So like...
Yeah. But ultimately...
what makes that stuff interesting. And that's why I like talking about it. Because it's the same thing as an electric motor. That kind of shit intrigues me.
Yeah.
We should have a whole thing on electric motors one day. That'd be a lot of fun.
What I'm getting at is like nobody taught me how to work on electric water heaters. I had to figure that shit out on my own. And it's not only experience, it's the investment of my own time to learn for myself, right? And the reason why nobody taught me is because in our area, electric water heaters aren't common enough to make it happen.
They are now, but yeah, you're right. Back when we were starting up there, they weren't.
For service businesses, they still aren't common enough.
They're coming around the corner.
I know.
They're right on the horizon.
But what I'm saying is, as these water heaters start coming around the corner, you're going to have plumbers that are like, can you send me to electric water heater training? Can you tell me this and all this stuff? And I'm like, no, prove to me that you're willing to learn by investing your own time in it first, and then I'll add to that.
Yeah.
And as a company owner, you have to guard your training time. Like, as a company owner, you have to recognize what training time is efficient and what training time is wasted. And I can't tell you how many companies are training their employees that their employees aren't fucking listening.
No, they're not.
So stop training them because you're just wasting your time as a trainer.
I will say this, as far as like big companies sending like 3 or 4 guys, 5 guys, whatever, to like big training, like O'Connor Company training, Ferguson training, all that's bullshit. Like if you're gonna train guys, what you should be doing, say you have 8 guys, you should be training 4 of them in the shop by your own expertise. Like that's
how we do it.
That's legitimate training. Like, hey guys, we're gonna have water heater day today. Like we're gonna break down. I'm gonna open this motherfucker up and I'm gonna show you like this is how you should be checking them.
Yeah.
Like that is different. Like in-house get after it training is 90% more effective than sending your guys to Ferguson when they have a quote unquote training day, which is really just hobnobbing, rubbing elbows, eating barbecue, learning nothing about ProFlow, anything.
Right.
Like that's just how it is.
It's a waste of time.
It is a fucking waste of time.
So I'll tell you, like, so you said in-house training is 90% effective, and I'll agree with you there. You know what's 100% effective?
On the job training.
On the fly training when you're now thrown into a situation you're not prepared for. Here's how most people handle that. They freak out and they want to get out of there as fast as possible because they don't want to get embarrassed that they don't know it.
Well, they use their cell phone. Hey, Mitch. Hey, Mitch.
Or they call or whatever, right?
Hey, Mitch. I know.
I don't answer those calls. We've talked about that. I don't answer those. I'm like, figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, they call me. I say, hey, look, this is how you do it.
Yeah, right. So,
yo, Spence, what's up, bro?
You've got to take the time. Like, how did I learn electric water heater stuff? Well, I tried to research as much as I can on my own, but there's only so much you can do until you find a failed element in the wild, and now you get to really test your skills.
Yeah.
Right? So when I would find that failed element in the wild, it wasn't a race to solve the problem. It was let's take an extra 10 minutes with my meter.
It's not that much time.
No.
It's really not.
Let's take an extra 10 minutes and cool, this element's failed. Now let's learn more about how this failed water heater is now behaving.
A 4500 watt element is the ohm reading is X.
Right.
This one is at this. A 3500 is at this.
You'd be amazed how many plumbers out there think that an electric water heater powers both elements at the same time. And I'm not shitting you. Like, that's a common thing.
It's because they're idiots. Which one is powered first, Mitch?
The upper one drives the bus, and then when the upper one is satisfied, it sends power to the lower thermostat.
There you go.
And then when the lower thermostat is unhappy, it sends power.
I thought he was going to fuck it up.
No, it all starts in the upper one. Yeah. It starts and finishes in the upper element.
Yeah, but it has to because that's where the cold water goes into the bottom. Hot water sucked off the top.
Well, the thermal expansion video we did for YouTube
said the video guy.
That was made possible because before we made each video, we looked at the last one and said, okay, what worked with this one, what didn't. And so basically that thermal expansion video that's popped off, that was a culmination of 30 videos where we got this wrong, but we fixed it on the next one, and then we fixed that on the next one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where on the video side, and same thing with plumbing, is we don't ever go forward without looking back and just kind of seeing kind of what happened.
You don't look back to dwell on the past. You look back to find ways to improve so that you don't make the mistake again, right? But as if you're a service person listening to this show and you get to a service call where you don't know how to find the problem,
call Mitch.
That's not a problem. That's a blessing. That's literally a gift horse handed to you for the best training ever.
Yeah.
Because now you're going to have to figure it out. And don't just speed through it and hope to make it somebody else's problem. Push the red reset button. Hey, it's heating a little bit. And then you leave knowing you didn't do shit to fix it, and knowing that thing is probably going to pop back off, and you still don't. You aren't any closer to a solution than you were before.
The red reset is never reset it. Like you can reset it, it's going off.
Yeah.
It's always going to go back off.
Yeah, I can think of like maybe I can think of once or twice in my entire career where a red reset button was tripped.
You're talking 0.5%.
Yeah, where I could not find a reason why, and I literally walk away from those calls going, I don't know why it tripped.
Yeah.
Like
maybe elements over amp.
Well, I don't think it's that. I think
very rare.
In those rare cases, I think a random failure, like a thermostat got stuck on and it overheated. Like if thermostat sticks on, it's just elements going to heat and heat and heat and heat and heat, and then your reset button's going to pop off.
Well, and that's happens.
Ultimately why the reset button's there.
Well, and that so gas furnaces, they have that the overheat flame rollout switches. They'll do that.
Yeah.
Like one will kick and then it'll stay stuck open.
Yep.
And then someone will call and you go there and you're like, oh, I reset it. And then you don't hear from them ever. Right. Like it just, sometimes things get stuck.
And so like on a gas, I've never seen this on an electric water heater because they do have the ECO switch.
Yeah.
I have seen this on gas water heaters where the gas valves get stuck in the on position.
And then the gas and then it kicks back on.
Well, the TMP blows under temperature.
Yeah.
That's a scary fucking thing to be. Like I've been around one water heater when the TMP blew for temperature. So
you're just rolling water for fucking 10 minutes and you're trying to push on it.
There ain't no pushing. Like
you're hitting it with a hammer. I've hit one with a hammer trying to get it to close. It does not fucking close.
No. So for those that don't know,
it's been on for 10 minutes.
A temperature pressure relief valve has a very, very sophisticated spring inside it.
Aren't they 150s?
Yeah. Well, 155 PSI or 210 degrees.
Yeah.
And that spring it's sprung at 155 PSI. It'll hold back 155 pounds of pressure. However, that spring is made of a very unique kind of metal that loses all rigidity at 210 degrees.
Yeah.
And so if that water heater sticks on and that water temp gets to 210 degrees, that spring collapses.
Yeah.
It loses all rigidity and it will not regain rigidity until it cools off.
Yeah.
The TMP's at the top of the tank.
Yeah.
So you gotta burn through
25 gallons probably of water.
Probably more than that. 40 gallons of water is hitting that floor at a 3/4 inch beam, full flow, until that thing shuts off.
You're flowing some serious shit.
Unless you turn off the cold inlet to the heater and then you just let it cool off on its own, right?
Yeah, but you got to be standing there to let it do that.
Right.
I like to do that.
I mean, where you would step in is if you had a plumber that's like, hey, I'm really trying to figure this thing out. I've been looking at it for 3 hours. Do you have any suggestions for me?
Yeah.
I'm talking about,
Yeah, but then, like, how that would work is, again, guarding your time and your future time. Don't jump in and solve the problem for them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Ask them questions.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah. Ask that plumber questions for helping them get to the solution on their own. You can't just give them the answer. Today, one of my online mentors, and I get to see him from time to time. He's cool as fuck. He drives a purple Lamborghini. Then the license plate says, I has GED. And then he's got a Bentley. No, it's a Rolls Royce. And the Rolls Royce has a license plate that says GED for me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And then I think he's got another couple of exotic cars. One of them's like no college, or like he puts all of these license plates on there to say like, I didn't go to school. Right.
Yeah. Which is probably some dick move I would do.
The dude is
if I had money.
He's talking about starting a podcast, and I hope he does because he thinks about things in such a unique way. It's really fucking cool. But
we gotta start having a buyout talk. Like if you leave me to go do a podcast with someone else, like you owe me some serious money.
This guy posted a video today. These bears are trying to climb this snowbank, okay? And they're being filmed from afar. And the mama bear struggles to get up the steep snow. And this is a tall fucking snowbank. And there's like a cliff at the bottom.
Okay.
The mama bear struggles to make it up there, but she finally gets up there and she leaves her fucking cub at the bottom. And the cub has to go up there.
Like, see you, bro.
And so the video goes on for like 5 minutes of this cub trying and falling and sliding and trying and falling and sliding and trying and falling and sliding. And the general premise of the video is the only time you fail is when you give up, right? But then my buddy Jacob, he comes in there with his badass thoughts, and he was like, here's the problem. If people were there close by, they would have been thinking they needed to rescue the bear. If people were, you know, people are watching this and commenting thinking, why didn't the mom help the cub? Right?
Yeah, she's letting him learn.
Meanwhile, a valuable leader, put this into human perspective, a valuable leader runs to the top of the hill, stands there, and cheers everybody on so that they learn for themselves that they too can get there on their own.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If Mama Bear would have gone down there and picked up the cub and brought it to the top, all the cub learns is Mama bails me out when I need it.
Yeah.
The cub did not learn anything.
Yeah.
We have a customer right now. We're doing some free work in their home. This girl is out of college. She works in a hospital. She works 4/10s, pretty cool shift if you work in a hospital. She gets Tuesdays off where they're doing work today, right? And we break open the concrete and we find all kinds of surprise. Well, for one, we put a spade shovel through her fiber optic internet line in her yard. And we knew it was a risk. It was like in writing. Where we have to dig is right near where your fiber optic service comes into your house, and that's a tiny ass line. I have no clue.
Have you seen those new AT&Ts? They're this big. They're like the old school phone lines. They're black. They're as white as this pen.
Yeah, and they got little fiber optics in them. This is Google Fiber.
They look like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
it's awful.
We could call in locates and I already know where it is. I have no clue how I'm going to dig this up without breaking that. And sure enough, we broke it, right?
You dig it with a shovel. But the problem is...
No, we dug it. This was an excavator. This was hand shovel.
Don't stop interrupting me. You're going to dig it with a shovel, but you're going to cut it with the shovel.
Yeah.
Every time. It's just, it is what it is. It's ridiculous.
And so that gets her all in a panic. Like, we don't know what we're doing. And it's like, no, I told you... Like, we have to navigate this. We might hit it. If we hit it, we're going to fix it.
Yeah, it's no big deal. They'll come out. They'll fix it. No worries.
Yeah. Well, then we break up our concrete and we get surprised with a whole bunch of shit under the concrete that we weren't expecting. The concrete was 18 inches thick. We didn't even get broke through it until 1 in the afternoon.
That's thick, dude.
And then their sewer line and 3 branches of their sewer line are encased in the 18-inch thick concrete. Woo! We didn't even know it. As we're breaking through the concrete, we ran the jackhammer right through their sewer line. Okay. And their sewer line's where a sewer line's not supposed to be. So we didn't even televise the line to learn where it is, right? So this job's going to hell in a handbasket, but here's the tie-in to the bear story. Her parents are realtors. Every time we talk to her, it's, I got to get my parents on the phone. Hold on. And she puts them on speaker. And we can't ever talk to the parents. We have to talk to the parents through her. Well, she doesn't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's like the worst translator ever.
Yep.
And so now the parents are getting some watered down version of what actually happened. So today the parents actually show up at the house pissed. And then now we're able to actually communicate with the parents and realize, okay, nothing's bad happened. We just got thrown for some surprises, and we're going to have to come back on a later day and revisit this and get it fixed, right?
Yeah.
So a 1-day job turns into a 2-day job for situations out of our control.
4-day job. Yeah.
But the tie-in is those parents did not set that girl up for success. Those parents are they're
helicopter parents.
They're the linchpin for her homeowner. Like, they never taught her, watch out for this, watch out for that, be okay for this, be okay for that. What they taught her was, call us when you need us.
God,
and it's fucking scary.
Like we're an hour and 20 and I want to dive into bad parenting.
Yeah. That can be next week's show.
Like
leadership.
We should talk about it because
leadership or leadership.
These kids don't fucking know shit.
I know.
They know literally nothing.
Let's save it for next week.
Okay.
So I'm gonna write it down.
Write it down.
Leadership or leader shit. That's gonna be the topic of next week's show.
Write down for me parents and kids not being able to leave the nest. I have some seriously strong thoughts about it. Austin. I'm just kidding. Not Austin. Not Austin. Austin's actually doing pretty good. You doing okay, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you start working out?
No.
Yeah, no.
All right.
God.
Well, let's wrap it up for this one. This one's kind of gone long too, but we knew it was. So
that's okay.
Guys, if this show brought you value, if you learned something from this show, if it made you think about things in a new way, do us a favor and share this show with somebody. Literally pull your phone out, hit the share button, and send it to who you think needs to hear it. If you've got somebody that's not very good at guarding their time and they're constantly complaining about how busy they are, but they're not very effective, then share them this show. Like, that's how this show, the word for this show gets out. We don't charge for this show.
It's free, baby.
We do have a sponsor of the show, Field Pulse, right?
Pays us hardly fucking anything.
Well, I'm just gonna say their sponsorship arrangement compared to the hours of this show, it's not like we make a whole lot of money, right? Austin is the highest paid person in this room right now. So yeah.
You know what? I thought I was gonna stab you with that pen. I'm gonna stab Austin when the show's over.
There you go.
Fuck him.
So
hey, we got 250,000 views on one video.
Yo, I'm gonna stab you with the pen. Doesn't matter.
All right. Until next time, guys, we will see you later.
Later, guys.